Ankle mobility can be very stubborn, but today I'm going to teach you how to fix it once and for all. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Ankle mobility is usually talked about at the bottom of a squat. So in other words, it's when that knee is fully bent. The reason that that's limited is one of two things. One, it's a soft tissue limitation, meaning the musculature or the tendons backside of the ankle are tight and not letting you go forward more. Or it's a joint restriction, meaning the joints that interplay to make that motion happen, that ankle mobility, aren't moving the way they should. I'm going to show you an easy test for you to determine which of those two it is, because we need to figure that out in order to do the right exercises that are going to actually make a difference for you. This test is called the knee driver test. You're going to be up against a wall and I want your shoes to be off. That's important for this. I want you to take your hand and place it right up against the wall. Then I want you to bring your foot so that your big toe is right up against your thumb. What you're doing is driving your knee towards the wall without pushing it, trying to see how close you can get to this knee touching the wall without your heel coming off the ground. That's it for me. I can't quite get to the wall. I want you to check both ankles while you're doing this test. So I'm even more limited on my left ankle than I am my right ankle. Now here's the most important part. Where do you feel the tightness or the limitation? Do you feel it back here, or do you feel it on the front or deep in that joint? If you feel it back here, then it's most likely a soft tissue limitation that you're dealing with. If you feel it on the front or maybe on the deep sides, that's a joint restriction that you're dealing with. Maybe you feel it in both. That's okay too. And you could have a combination of the two that you're dealing with. We're going to be going through both of those options. I'm going to show you the exact exercises that are going to get you to that point where you can get to the wall and feel better in a squat. You have two calf muscles. The first one is your gastrocnemius. It's that big ball of muscle that's up here that most people see when you exercise. The other one is called the soleus. It's deeper to that gastroc. It's a little bit broader and goes a little bit farther down. Both of them attach to the Achilles, which is that big thick band that's on the back side of your ankle. We're going to be focusing on the soleus. The reason is because the soleus doesn't cross the knee where it attaches. It attaches up here. The reason that's important is because that means it is most involved when your knee is bent, like the bottom of a squat. So if you have a soft tissue limitation, it's most likely that the culprit is the soleus. We'll take a 3-step approach to get that taken care of, and then we'll retest to see if it worked. The first step is to roll out that soleus. So I want you to focus more on this portion of your lower calf and really get some good pressure rolling back and forth on that musculature. And you can hang out a little bit lower here on the Achilles as well. But I want there to be some good pressure. So if this doesn't feel like it's enough, you can put your other leg on top of there to add some weight. But I want you to do this on both of these ankles for anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. Research shows 1 to 3 minutes is really good to create some instant mobility. After 3 minutes though, you get diminished returns, meaning there's no point in going longer because it doesn't help you anymore. It's not doing any harm, it's just not doing any more good after 3 minutes. Make sure you do this on both ankles if you are having a limitation on both ankles. Step 2 is a dynamic stretch. The exercise is modifiable, meaning based on how limited your ankles were, you can adjust for that. As you can see, I have this board here. This is about 1 inch off the ground and I'm wearing my shoes. So that'd be about the highest modification that you can make, because that's going to give you a few inches of assistance to get down into this position that we're going to be stretching in. What you do is you go into the bottom of a squat like this. If you have a weight, you can hold it here so that your elbows are on your knees. If you don't have a weight, you can just hold it here, but I want those elbows on those knees. You're going to be leaning to one side, driving that knee forward, but the most important part is to keep your heel on the ground or the board or whatever you're using there. The heel needs to stay down because that gives you that stretch and that mobility that you're looking for. You would spend about 15 seconds on one side and then shift over and do 15 seconds on the other side. If this is the modification that you're starting out in, I want you to go back and forth 3 or 4 times between both sides. Then you can drop down to taking your shoes off. Based on your shoe, that's going to take away another 1 inch or 2 of assistance. So then you go back down into this position. You're doing the same thing, really pushing that knee forward. 15 seconds. You're going to do that 3 to 4 times on each side. Then for the last step, you take away that board or whatever you were using for assistance. So you get back down to that position and you're leaning forward onto each side, 10 to 15 seconds, 3 to 4 times each. If you're able to start at one of those lesser modifications, then you just spend your time going there. The last step is strengthening the musculature. Sometimes muscles can feel tight because they're dysfunctional. So if we get some functional training to them, they'll loosen out. If you remember, I said the soleus is most active when the knee is bent. So to strengthen the soleus, you're gonna go into this lunge position with your knee bent to about 90 degrees. From here, you're doing a calf raise and you're really squeezing that calf on the top portion for about 2 to 3 seconds and then down. You should feel this a little bit deeper and a little bit lower than you would typically feel with a standing calf raise, which is more in that gastroc. I want to do 10 to 15 very solid functional reps where you're really feeling that in that soleus. Don't forget to do this on both sides. Let's see if that sequence worked for you. So put your hand against the wall, toe up against your thumb. See if you can get your knee to the wall without pushing with your hands and without your ankle coming off the ground. So I can do it now on this side. Let's check the other side. I can do it on that side too. That shows me one session of that sequence gave me those results. If you do that consistently as a warm-up in the gym for the next 1 to 2 weeks, I promise you that's gonna get even easier and it's gonna start to stick around so that you don't have to do it every single time. The joint in your ankle that allows this motion to happen is called your talocrural joint. You have your tibia, your shin bone, that sits on top of a bone called your talus. When you do this motion, your talus needs to glide backwards. When you push down, your talus needs to glide forward. If someone has a joint restriction, 9 times out of 10, it's because that talus isn't gliding the way it should. So we're gonna do an exercise that tries to make that happen. You'll need a thick band for this. This one's elastic. If you don't have an elastic band, you can try and use something like a belt. That might work too. The elasticity seems to do a pretty good job. So put your foot on an elevated surface, and I want the band to be lower, at a lower angle than that, so when it pulls in the exact angle that we want that talus to be moving. The setup of the band here is super important. You need to make sure this band is below your tibia. So those big bones you have on the sides of your ankles, the inside one is your tibia, the outside one is your fibula, which is the bone on the lateral portion of your shin. You need to make sure that the band is below those bones. Otherwise, you're not pulling the talus and you're actually trying to pull the tibia, which just won't help you at all. Once you have some really good tension here on that band and it's in the right spot, you're basically doing the knee driver test. And this band is pulling the talus back, making it do what it should be doing when you're doing this motion. You would go forward, hold for about 5 seconds, and then you would come back. And you're just pumping in and out of that, trying to get the talus to do what it's supposed to. You can add tension by grabbing here and pushing down as you go forward. That gives the band a little more tension. Or you can add a weight, put it on your knee, and use that to drive you forward. The big thing here is to not let your heel come off the ground. Don't forget to do this on both ankles. Now that we've addressed the joint restriction, let's retest to see if it worked. Get set up with your hand against the wall, big toe against your thumb. You're trying to see if your knee can touch the wall without the use of your hands and without your heel coming off of the ground. So that shows that that worked for me. If that worked for you, then that's going to be your routine at the gym as a warm-up for the next 2 weeks or so. I want you to do that every time you go. That consistency will help keep it there over time so that you won't have to do it as much in the future. Alright, so that's it. That's how you address your ankle mobility. I hope you were able to figure out which one of the two you were so that you can have a solid plan moving forward. Now, if you want to hit that next step of the ankle work, which is ankle stability, I'm working on some videos for that. Once I have them done, I'll put them here so you can go watch that. I'll see you over there.